Thanks so much, everybody. Oh, thank you. What a warm round of applause. I'm Ricky Camilleri. Welcome to Build. Our next guest is an actor, author, sports commentator, podcaster, and you can see Michael Rapaport now as the decent father trying to do right by his family on Netflix's Atypical. Season 2, now running on Netflix. Let's take a look.
Oh, Casey, good news.
Oh, Elsa, I don't care.
Why are you calling Mom Elsa?
Your Clayton uniform came today. It is adorable. It just looks smart. What do you two think of the roast? I tried a new prepackaged spice mix.
Cheater.
For most mammalian species, survival depends on knowing and sticking with your pack. Stop sitting on me like an egg. I'm not an egg.
Cheep, cheep. Cheep, cheep.
But the members of my pack keep migrating to other schools,
I hate it there. Just give it a chance. Hi, I'm Casey. Don't care.
to other houses,
You threw a grenade into our lives. I can't be around you.
or just away from me. It's a mystery. What was once something that seems so rock solid, it cracks wide open.
Before you know it, you are so deep, it's impossible to dig yourself back out.
Does anyone find it difficult to deal with change?
But there's always a way out.
I know it's gonna be difficult, but you can handle it.
He hasn't applied to any colleges.
I have no idea what I should do.
You have to start making decisions for yourself. What do you want to do?
Everybody has setbacks. You can't let that bring you down.
We'll figure this out, okay?
I used my discount to get you these pencils for school.
You didn't have to do that.
I'm your big brother. I can take care of you sometimes, too.
They must look like terrible parents.
No, you seem like people.
It's a rough world out there. That's why you need your family.
I like that we're secure enough to do this semi-regularly.
I'm neutral about it.
Everybody, please welcome Michael Rapaport.
Glad to be here.
What's up? Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see ya.
I'm honored to be here on this date, 9/11, and I'm happy to be in New York for today.
Born and raised New Yorker, right?
Born and raised right here in Manhattan.
Right here in Manhattan. I always thought
Right
you
here
were
in
in
Manhattan.
Queens.
All Manhattan.
All Manhattan, all
Right
the
here
way.
in Manhattan, yep.
Did you ever live in Queens?
Never lived in Queens. I got friends in Queens, and I got my favorite sandwich place in Manhattan, in New York City is in Queens.
What sandwich place is that?
It's a place in Astoria called Sal and Chris, the subway, the hero king of Astoria. So if you're in Astoria, I highly recommend. It's like a legitimate old school New York City sandwich.
Were you ever in a movie or a TV show
It
praising
took place in Queens.
Because I feel
Most
like I've heard you
likely-
say Queens. Like, a,
No. I don't claim Queens.
I guess I just make stuff up about people I'm interviewing now.
I mean, I'm sure I've worked in Queens. You know, Queens has got a lot of great music, a lot of hip hop. So I mean, Tribe Called Quest is from Queens, LL Cool J is from Queens, Run DMC.
You did the doc on Tribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
President is from Queens, although he doesn't come back to Queens. He hasn't been back since.
How many you made that documentary, the Tribe documentary? You made another documentary after that. You made a documentary about
The Knicks. I made When the Garden Was Eden.
When the
about
Garden Was Eden, right? Yeah.
70-73 Knicks, the last championship team. And, you know, I plan on making another one at some point. It's you know, documentaries are very hard to make. They're not easy. They're not for the meek. So you got to really be compelled to make one. So
About a year or two of your life unpaid.
if you're lucky. But yeah, so you know, it's definitely got to be something that you feel that you have to make. It's not like, oh, I'm kind of gonna sort of make this documentary. Like, you have to be really driven to make it.
Do you have any ideas for stuff that you want to make? Nothing's really
Nothing.
stuck out to
No,
you yet?
nothing. It really is like it's like a love at first sight. You know, getting hitched in Vegas type of feeling, which I've never done, but that's the closest thing to it. It's like you see this story, you're gravitate to the story, and you just have to go. Because if you think it through too much, there's too many obstacles of why you shouldn't make a documentary, like excuses and money and the challenges and all that stuff.
Was there ever, it's wonderful to have you on a show like Atypical, to have you as a regular cast member on a show like this. Was there ever a period of time in your career where you stopped acting for a little bit? Was it while you were making the documentaries?
No, while I was making the Tribe Called Quest documentary, I was funding the first part of it because I was very unfulfilled doing a TV show called Prison Break. And because I felt it was, and people loved that show, but it was a very unfulfilling working experience. So I was really happy to be like, well, I'm doing this. I was sort of taking one thing that was like really felt like a job, which is not often for me as an actor. Like I usually just am so happy to be there, but I was sort of taking that and then putting it into something that I was really passionate about. But I never stopped working. No.
Can I ask what it felt like? What about that felt like a job? What about it felt like a tough working experience?
The thing that the cast had sort of thrown in the towel. I got there on the 4th season. They knew it was going to be the last season. The show was on the decline, ratings wise, and I think creatively. So showing up in the 4th season, like I was like, yeah, and everybody was like, yo, we've been doing this shit, and we know it's not coming back, and that sort of was discouraging. So
you were like, can I get another take? I got
I'm
an
ready
idea,
to go.
and they were like, nah, we got
who cares?
it. Yeah.
We're like, we're
moving on. Check the
this
gate.
shit ain't coming back no matter what the fuck you do.
Okay, cool. I'll just be in the trailer.
So but it really prompted me to, be like I didn't think twice about sort of funding the Tribe Called Quest movie in the beginning because of that, because I felt like it was funneling money in the right place.
So now you're on a show like Atypical where
Yes.
you're working with the great icon Jennifer Jason Leigh,
Yep.
and these two wonderful young actors,
Yep.
as well as a host of other people that come through the show.
Yep.
What is that environment like?
It's really good. Jennifer Jason Leigh, first of all, is somebody that I've been a fan of before I even thought about being an actor. Like just, from Fast Times at Ridgemont High to Rush, Single White Female, and all the other things that she's ever done. Like she's always been on the top of my list of favorite actresses. So to get a chance to work with her is great, and she lives up to all my expectations when I'm working with her. Like she just gets in the rhythm. She's like just such a pro and understands what she's doing and has such an understanding of a good scene, a bad scene, a good take, a bad take. She's very smart. She's got so many stories because she's been making movies for so long. And all sorts
So many directors. I mean,
Yeah.
she's been making movies since she was a kid.
Yeah.
And her first movie was with with Amy Heckerling, written by Cameron Crowe. And the list just goes on and on and on.
Yeah. So she's a good storyteller. Like she's got so many different stories, and not just movies that she's done, like movies that were gonna get made, and directors that she's friendly with, and and then what was the Tarantino movie? Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
And like she had just come off that, so she just.
It must have been an insane set.
Yeah.
I would imagine there were a story per day on that set.
So like I love picking her brain for that stuff because she's good at telling them, and she likes telling them. So she's really good, and then the kids are really good, and. And the attitude on the show is good, and I realize, a lot of times an attitude, and it's like, you equate it to sports. In sports, you hear about like a culture of winning, a culture of losing. The Knicks have been talking about a culture of losing. The culture's got to change. It's the same thing on a show. It's like if everybody's excited to be there and everybody's, putting forth their best effort and everybody's sort of respecting each other's craft and respecting each other's sort of skill set, that's a culture of winning. And that doesn't mean the show or the movie is going to turn out good, but at least, you're gonna put forth a very strong effort. But like the last season of Prison Break was like, that wasn't a culture of winning. That was like, fuck it, we're not coming back, which is really a culture of losing when you know that. And so that's different. So for me on that show and being one of the older people on the show and to the kids, but they're both very professional. Keir and Bridget are very professional, and they're young and you know.
They're young, but if you look at their IMDb's, they've done a fair amount.
Exactly.
Like they know how to handle a set.
Exactly. Which is impressive for me that, you know, actors that are really that age, like, are so comfortable. They're both very comfortable around adults. Because when I was young on a set, I wasn't comfortable around adults.
I'm still not comfortable around adults.
Exactly.
A lot of the time.
So,
I always find myself still feeling like a little brother or something, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, me too. So they're very like, oh, well, you know, we're here. So they don't need motivation. They don't need professionalism. They sort of have that. So it's a good environment, and of course the writers and you know, the support of Netflix, and you know, coming back to a show that season 1 sort of really had a special response with the people who watched it. It wasn't just like, yo, it was a dope show, it was a good show, it was a funny show. A lot of the response that I got was, they don't know we're streaming.
Yeah, they don't know they can't hear it on the audio.
A lot of the response we got from the show was thank you. You know, thank you for doing the show. I really appreciate the show. The show meant a lot to me, which is not the normal way a show was received. So, you know, we all sort of knew that going into season 2 and wanted to live up to the expectations and you know, continue to do something that we feel good about and that hopefully the fans will feel good about.
We see your character in this season pretty bitter over the events that took place last season.
Yep.
And possibly acting out because of it,
Yep.
or not handling things in the most mature way.
Right.
What did you think about that going in? Because he is still such a warm, good father.
Yeah, he's a very, very good father, warm father. I mean, I don't think there's a mature way to deal with your wife cheating on you, you know, while you're living in the same house. I don't think there's really maturity to that. So I think that the character's dealing with the best way possible. You know, I don't believe in necessarily maturity for maturity's sake. Now, this character, I think, dealt with it a lot more mature than I probably would.
What would you have done?
I just would have been a little bit more outwardly upset. This character is very sort of quiet, and his emotions are under the surface, which, if you know me, that's not my strong suit in real life. So that's one of the things I like about the character, because so much of what is going on with him is what he's not saying. And with me in real life, so much of what's going on with me is exactly what I am saying. So that's a fun thing to play.
Is that something that you found that you've had to temper a little bit when you're fathering as a
real life parent, yes.
Exactly.
As a real life parent, yes. But even then, it's like you know, I believe in growth and change, but I also am very aware of my vulnerabilities and my flaws. And the realities of that. And I think that, you know, growing up, you know, you see your parents as like these figures. You know, I just think it's just natural. You see them as these figures. And then as you get older, you see them as people. When you get to a point and you're like, my dad is just a guy. My mom is a woman. And you treat them with the respect and reverence that you treat your mom and father, but you're like, you know, Dad, you got like shit on your mouth, you know, like, or like, I don't agree with what you're saying. Like, I think you're tripping on what you're saying. Within the, you know, way of respect, you start to see them differently. I don't know how I got to that, but as a parent in real life, I know that, you know, I'm not perfect, and I tried, you know, I mean, being a parent is like, I don't know how people write books on parenting, because I think it's such bullshit. Because
how many kids do you have?
I have two. One's 18 and one's 16. But I think parenting is like a never-ending, unsolvable, 17,000-piece jigsaw puzzle that keeps getting kicked over by a toddler, a dog, and then another toddler. I just think it's not a solvable thing. So we're like, you know, 17 ways to be a great parent. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, these are just ways to sort of rest your head after, you know, a long day of failing as a parent, or where your kid is screaming and yelling, or, you know, when you have a child and you have, they have, what is this thing my son had when he was a baby, the crying, insufferable, nonstop crying when they're like, you know.
Teething or something?
Not teething.
Colicking?
Colic.
Yeah.
which is basically any pediatrician will tell you, it's just crying for no fucking reason, and there's no way to solve it. The best
It goes on for like a month, right?
hours a day. I mean, I'll be exhausted after talking so much just doing this interview, but if you sat here and cried and had a shit fit conniption on the floor for 4 or 5 hours, that's exhausting. But like infants, 3, 4, 5 months old, could sit there cry like that for hours upon hours and no nap, no nothing. It's an impressive physical showing. Just you're like, God damn, this is marathon shit, So
when your kids were crying, that there was a part of you thinking like, I got an endurance runner here. This is amazing.
I want the receipt, and I want to return this fucking kid. Like the same way I would return CDs to the old Tower Records right here. Like, I want to bring this back and be like, yo, this one is scratched. Give me another one, because I don't know what the fuck is going on here. And you're going to all the drugstores and the homeopathic and your doctor. Try this, try that. I don't even remember, so long ago, but it was just like none of that shit worked. And they're like, well, how do you make it stop? And they're like, finally I remember that. Like, there's just no way to make it stop. So then why do you have a name for it? Why don't you just say unconsolable, incontrollable crying?
Colicking, yeah, what is that?
The
It sounds
fuck
like
does
a
that
hair
mean?
colic
Nothing.
or something?
Bullshit.
Yeah. Did you find that your kids got less or more understandable as they got older? Because I was told that when I was a kid, when I was a baby, I didn't have tantrums, I didn't cry, I was totally fine. But then when I became a teenager, I was just a raging asshole, and they couldn't handle my shit at all.
I'd say yet to be determined. Yet to be determined. They're two teenage boys, so yet to be determined. When they're out of their when they're officially grown-ups, I'll give it a full recap assessment, because it's like the stock market. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's settled. You don't never know. So I'm not sure.
You never know how big the dip is until you're out of the dip, and then you think, oh, that was tough.
Exactly. Because some dips could seem like dips, and then you get a real fuck a dip. You get the ceiling. I mean, the floor just drops, and then you're like, oh, well, 3 months ago was nothing. Like getting suspended for 2 weeks. Oh, that was great compared to where we're at now. So, but they're good boys, and one of them, started school and college and whatever.
Oh, amazing! So,
congratulations.
He's 18. He just started, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you have the moment of seeing him off to school, or?
No, I was looking forward to that.
Oh, really?
I don't, with boys and the fact that my son started school here in New York, and I spent a good amount of time here, and a good amount of time in Los Angeles, but he was comfortable here. There was a familiarity, so it wasn't like I dropped him off in Turkey or Spain, and you're gonna be okay. It just seemed like he was ready, and the fact that it's New York and that he has a comfort level in New York, I didn't feel as jittery as I may, if my other son goes to an unfamiliar place. I think the lack of familiarity, how do you say it? Familiarity will add or to that. But they're boys also. If I had a girl, I think it would be a little different. It would be, I'd be a little bit more concerned.
Do you find that lessons that you learned while parenting play into your performance? That could be taken as if it was a girl, you'd be a little bit more concerned, and you're with all the the women's rights stuff. Why would you be more concerned about your girl and not your boy? I'm just catching what Twitter could say, because they could spin every fucking thing. Fuck that. That's ridiculous. That's
He said if he had girls, he'd be worried, but he's not worried about his son. Why would you be worried about your girls, or girls not as strong? I'm just my head thinks in only social media terms, how you could get.
You got to get out of there, man.
You walk yourself into walls every time you say something. What are they going to say? That they being the 17 people on Twitter that comment about anything and everything. Anyway,
they're just looking for things to shit post at, right?
Yeah, I know, and I just gave him, what do you call a shit post?
Shit post.
Yeah, I just gave him a shit post. I just said that I would be less concerned. I'm less concerned about my sons. If I had girls, maybe I'm implying this is how it could be taken. Maybe I'm implying they're weaker, they're not as good thinkers on their feet, and that's not the case. I'm just saying as a parent.
Serving up the ammunition for them
now it's like all out of context. Like, he didn't just say it, he went back and double backed on it, he confirmed it. Anyway, God, I'm just
We weren't sure what to make of what he said, but then he went back and told us exactly what to think, and now we're posting.
That he was totally, if he had daughters, he'd be totally freaked out because they're totally unable to find their way around New York. Anyway, go ahead.
Have you found that you use the lessons that you learned as a parent in your performance, or sometimes you use the lessons that you learn in the show as a parent in real life?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I don't want to say necessarily the lessons, it's the emotions of being a parent. It's not necessarily the lessons. Like, for me, you know, acting, and particularly this character, he's such an emotional character. So it's really sort of finding the emotions that I can relate to, and if it's not literal, sort of transferring them, you know. So it could be something, you know, with acting, it's like, for me, the way I sort of get around a scene and then I get around a sort of attaching and understanding a scene is drama, because drama and comedy are different, how I approach it in terms of the emotion of it, because comedy's not really an emotional thing. Comedy's like comedy to me. It's different. It's more like from your, I don't know, it's not as, I don't know, it's just not as emotional. But this character being so emotional, having a father that I still do have a strong relationship to, being a parent, and then, you know, whatever's going on with the kids, I in the show, I try to find something that I could grab onto and that like sort of anchors me in the scene.
What do you think made them cast you for this role, considering he's kind of a man of few words and you're a man of all the words?
I think the thing that, you know, the reason why they cast me was because of the emotion. Because of the emotion. You know, I don't think that I'm the best technical actor. There's a lot of great technical actors, like technical being like, what's my man's name? Fuck, I was just thinking of his name the other, huh? Well, Daniel Day-Lewis is a great, I mean, he's like the like one of the tops because he's so technically good and he gives really good emotional life. You know, that like, so he encompasses everything. And the other guy who played Steve Jobs.
Michael Fassbender?
Like, he's a really good sort of technical actor, you know, and you know, there's, for me, like, I look at myself as an emotional actor. You know, I think my technique has gotten better over the years, and, you know, like in a show like this where you see, you know, like it's sort of so suppressed, I'm able to show that, but I'm not like Mr. Accent. I'm not like one of these actors who, you know, transforms their face and, you know, big on makeup, and it's all about opportunities. You know, every actor sort of dreams of, well, I want to do all these things. I want to be Robert De Niro, or I want to be Daniel Day-Lewis, or I want to be, you know, Marlon Brando. And then you sort of, you know, as you go along, you get the opportunities you get, and then you want to kick ass within those opportunities. So, yeah, I would love to, you know, do, you know, certain things, but I know that, like, I'm good at certain things and not as good as other things, and other things I just haven't had an opportunity to try.
When you look back at all of your performances over the course of your career, do you see one in particular where you tried something completely different for yourself and it didn't work out?
Shit. Oh, man. Yeah. I don't think... Shit, you'd have to tell me that. What do you fucking want to tell me? What movie did I suck in?
I don't know.
The fuck? No, I mean, I've done movies that I thought would be good that weren't.
What's a role that you found really pushed what you found to be your skills and talents were, and you found yourself while on set doing the role like out of bounds and weren't sure if it was working?
Well, at first I would say Higher Learning, the character in Higher Learning. I was 23 or 24, and that was really away from who I was at the time.
Yeah, you're like a hip-hop kid from Manhattan
playing
a neo-Nazi.
Yeah, so that was
you
like...
would have been partying with the guys.
Yeah, so that was really different for me. There's always an aspect of it. I mean, it's. I'm not thinking of something particular. I mean, I would say like this character in Atypical right now, because of the energy level. You know, acting is also very much energy. You know, you have, a certain energy and you gravitate towards it, whether it's Christopher Walken energy or Juliette Lewis energy or Robert De Niro energy or whoever you're into. They have an energy. Leonardo DiCaprio has an energy. They have a thing about them, and being able to temper and turn the volume up on those things. And in this particular character, because, I am a sort of more of a colorful, loud, in your face sort of person. A lot of the time. It's not like I'm like this all the time. But if you put a fucking camera on me, I'll, But this character is very much like he struggles to emote and struggles to express himself. So that's very different for me, especially right now.
What do you mean right now?
Because it's like right now as a person that I am now and as the man I am now, like I feel very much clear, a lot more clear on my thoughts and points of view, and I'm also more very comfortable as I've gotten a little older on being able to articulate them right, wrong, or indifferent. So, like when I was watching the show the other day, because I see so much of what I do is either like my podcast or like even sports stuff where I'm totally myself. And then I was watching the show. I'm like, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Like that's like pretty. I liked what I was doing. In the show. Because of that aspect. Because all actors want to be different from themselves. That's like the big thing. I think that's a little overrated, and only so few get to do that. Get to really deep dive into characters all the time. And it's about opportunities and interest. In what you want. The opportunities are important, and some actors are afforded the opportunity to just, it's like the world's playground. You could do whatever you want. And then, some aren't.
I feel like one of the reasons that they cast you in this role, even though he is, I think, as you said, turned down a little bit and his emotions are hidden, is that you are such an emotional guy and you do wear it on your sleeve and it's going to be in your eyes and on your face no matter what you're doing as a performer. If you're telling yourself, my character is reserved and is not emotional in this moment, it's going to show, and that's going to be even more impactful for an audience because you've got these two things butting up against each other. This person who's not emotional, but this actor who's naturally emotional.
Right. I think so too. I appreciate that. I think that would be the reason why.
The moments that you have with Jennifer Jason Leigh in the first few episodes of this season where she comes into the house and you've asked her not to be there anymore.
Yep.
It's very clear the kind of anger and hurt your character has, but he's withholding so much of that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And those are fun to play and challenging to play because you don't want it to go into crazy land where the character's unhinged or,
where you would be personally.
I'd probably be more like, I'd be more like, what the fuck is going on and all that stuff. But that's the technique of it because you could have that emotion, but you're not showing that. So you feel it, so like, I'm more like this, like the character's more like this, but if you're in the groove, you could feel it, you just, like I saying energy, it's like people have energy, you walk by somebody and you're like, that motherfucker seems crazy, or that person seems scary, or if you see like a really smiley person, that's energy that people are giving off. I believe in that, and that's real. You could feel danger. You could be like, that person. like something's up with that person, or he just seemed like a good guy, which is not anything anyone ever says about me. I'm kidding. Or you. Well, we know that. But anyway, so like that's like the craft of acting. That's what acting is to me. Is changing your energy. And the really good actors are able to do all sorts of different shades and colors, along with the technique of a Daniel Day-Lewis with the accents and a walk and all so you're really getting into some highbrow shit that some people are able to do.
Let's get some questions. Who's got a question? Right here.
Hi, I'm a big fan. I was wondering, are there any takeaways from the TV show that you felt you've added to your personal life?
That's a good question. Any takeaways? Man, like definitely, obviously, because of the autism being such a factor in the show, it's made me more aware of that. And it's hard to say. I mean, for me, like, it's not. It's really like the people you meet and the experiences and the stories and the everything that happens off camera. Like hanging out in the trailer, the relationships that you make, and how you feel when you walk away. Like I had a good time doing that show. Like I liked doing that show. I liked playing that part. I liked going to work every day, which is how I feel 99% of the time in as an actor. I wake up, like sometimes you got to get up early, which everybody does, but like, no one likes to. And sometimes you wake up at 4:30 and I'm like, like I'm hyped to go to work. So I definitely have that feeling with the show.
Next question.
Hi, if you could go back to the beginning of your career and give yourself advice, what would that advice be?
That's a good question. Man, if I could go back to the beginning of I would say buy real estate in New York. That I wish I did.
That's what Rosie Perez said when I interviewed her. Someone asked her, like, what advice do you give to young people? And she said, buy real estate. That's all she said.
Shit. I would say buy real estate in New York. I would say... I think that I would have been a little bit more... I think I had my eye set on being a certain kind of actor and doing certain kind of projects. And there was a couple of opportunities that I think I begrudged because, I wanted to be, gritty and grimy and more independent. And I think I would have been a little bit more open to some of those things when I was younger. But those would be the two things. I would definitely have bought more real estate right here in New York because at that time... Shit.
1985, 1990?
I ain't that old, like 90, 91, 92, 93. You could get some good shit, right nearby here, that you'd be...
You could probably get like a Soho loft.
You could get
something.
A lot of things, especially, like I was, doing, I've been fortunate to, one thing I've always been good about is being conservative with my money. So I was never like one of these people who bought things, but I would have definitely been like, bought more.
What are some of those projects that you kind of referenced that you wished you had been open to? What was there an offer that you got that you didn't take?
There was a couple things, but I don't want to say what they were because I think that's very pretentious when actors say, "Oh, I was offered Forrest Gump. They wanted me to play Forrest Gump, but it's like that's shitting on someone else's thing."
Not his. He didn't get offered.
I didn't get offered for it. Actually, I did get offered. It was like Michael Rapaport, and then they were like, "Fuck it, we'll just go with Tom Hanks." No, but so
we're bringing this to you because Michael wasn't available.
Michael passed.
It's like all the roles.
Get you for a price, But I don't.
That's how I got Philadelphia.
Exactly.
Whatever.
It's like he passed on that too. So but I don't speak on that. I don't think it's fair. I think it's disrespectful to the people that got cast. There's not a bunch of things that had happened. There's a couple of things, but it's just a mindset. It's more sort of keeping yourself open to things at the time. But it wasn't too much. But like when I look back, I could have done, I could have been like, I was more like I want to play the bad guys, as opposed to a couple of times I got offered to play the sweet guy. When you're young, or the love interest. I wanted to play the guy who was like beating up the love interest, because it's just that New York bullshit. So,
one more.
Hi, I'm wondering what was it like to be on Friends?
Friends was a good time. I have good memories of working on that show. The cast was really nice. I think it was the 6th season. I feel like it was the 6th season. Maybe the 5th season, but they were all very wealthy and on their way to becoming very wealthy. So they were like, talk about being happy to go to work at 5 a.m. Like they were like sprightly. So it was a lot of excitement around that show, and they were all just as advertised, very friendly, very welcoming, and very professional. Like there was no like, this is our last season. It's like, yo, we're gonna keep doing this shit till the wheels come off. And they were enjoying themselves. So it was a good time. It was a good time. The funny thing about Friends is I did 4 episodes, but that show, it just stays, in the popular culture. And some people will come up to me sometimes and be like, I loved you on Friends. And I'm like, thank you. And they're like, what else do you do? And I'm like, the fuck, you only watch Friends? Like, that's what you just watch? So, but it was cool doing it. I was excited to do it. And like, there was a vibe on that show. There was just like such a success and hype around it. And like, it was such a, sort of like meteor rise for the show. And I was there like when it was proven. So it was cool being a part of it.
I feel like True Romance is kind of like that, and just in the sense that it has stayed the test of time. People for generations will discover that movie and love it. Like, I think if 16-year-old kids saw it now, they'd love that movie.
Yeah, True Romance. I just saw something that yesterday was the 25th anniversary that the film came out. And I was like, when I saw it, I was like, God damn it, I should have bought more real estate. But like when I saw this clip somebody released of us at the premiere party, and I just was like, I was so...
What are you wearing?
I was underdressed, but I had like a new shirt that I bought from Bloomingdale's. See, like I should have wore a suit to that premiere. Even though I was 23, I should have wore just like a black suit. But I was like really like, I looked at the thing like Brad Pitt looked like he just rolled out of like,
Well, that's what I mean. You look at all of the 90s premiere photos, and it's shocking how underdressed or oddly dressed everybody was.
Yeah, but I could have just put the suit on with the shirt. And like Christian Slater had the suit on. Tarantino had the suit on. Brad Pitt was Brad Pitt, so it's like almost like a suit would be unfair because he was so like beautiful. Like when Brad Pitt came out, he was like, when you see Brad Pitt in real life, I don't know if you've ever seen him, you're like, oh shit, there's Brad Pitt.
No, I know. Every time a Brad Pitt movie is on in my house, my wife is like, fuck.
But when you see him in real life,
it's instinctual. Like she can't. It's unbelievable.
But real life, you're like fucking Brad Pitt, man. Like I've known him for a long time, but like you're like fucking like look at this guy's face. That's fucking Brad Pitt, So
even you have it when you see him. Like you just can't help it.
He looks like Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt looks like Brad Pitt in real life. There's no facade. There's no like fillers. There's no wigs. Like
beautiful. He's just a beautiful man.
Got that jawline, and it's like he's like stopped aging. Certain movie stars, they just stop aging. They just stop. I don't know what the fuck program or they're just lucky.
Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise,
Brad Pitt, Leonardo's kind of got that. Matt Dillon just stopped like 1988, and it's like just Matt Dillon. Stopped aging. But then sometimes, and I don't wish this on any of the people I just mentioned, sometimes they'll fall off a cliff. And you'll see Brad Pitt, and then you'll see Brad Pitt at 70 and be like, what the fuck happened to Brad Pitt? But I'm sure he's probably looking forward to that day because his looks are so much a part of his thing, but he's broken all those stereotypes because he's such a great actor. Whatever. So, but going back to True Romance, it was a great time, and the film has lasted the test of time, and you don't, get to be a part of that many things. But I will say, when I was doing True Romance, like I knew that we were in a place to potentially do something really good because of the cast, the script, the director. I just had like that.
Tony had just done Days of Thunder, right?
Yep.
Like, so he had all the money in the world, it seems. When I watched that movie, I'm like, I don't think I've seen like a noir movie with this much money since this movie.
But we didn't have, the film's not a big budget film. I think they made that movie for $16 million. Yeah.
It looks incredible.
Maybe 12. Like, it looks incredible because of him. But it was just his energy and his excitement. Quentin Tarantino had just written Reservoir Dogs. Natural Born Killers had just come out. I believe he hadn't shot Jackie Brown yet, but there was such a, like, you knew there was a transcendent, once-in-a-lifetime talent in Quentin Tarantino. Like, there was that much hype on him and excitement on him. And then the cast was coming together, and it was like, this one's going to be this part, and Val Kilmer's going to do that part, and Gary Oldman's going to do this part. And I was such a fan of all of them at the time, like, so to be a part of it. When I saw this clip, I posted it on my Instagram at the premiere, like, I was the least experienced. Like, I'm like, I just was like, so like excited to be there. And like, I didn't know, they're taking pictures. Do we walk away? Like, and like, I just was like, I was like looking at it. I was like, I remember like that. Like, I remember that. And I still get that same feeling, but you'll never have it quite that way because like the first time you're doing that, like the first time you're at this premiere and you're next to these people like Christian Slater, like I grew up watching his movies before I was even thinking about being an actor. Like I never even thought about being an actor, you know? And Dennis Hopper, you know, like, and he's standing next to me in this clip and you're like, you know, like, so like that feeling of being a fan, but being a fan that's sort of in the circle was like, I never sort of took that for granted. And I still don't take it for granted. Like I still like fan out. Like I still, you know, like the first season of Atypical, like, you know, like every time I was on the set with Jennifer Jason Leigh, I kept thinking of that song, the Jackson Brown. I said, Jackson Brown, like, you got to be somebody's baby.
Jackson Brown, from Fast Times, yeah.
It was like in my head, I was like, fucking Jennifer Jason Leigh and shit.
She's somebody.
Exactly.
So
yeah. So like, that was like the song, you know, like.
Great song.
In Fast Times.
We're gonna get sued now.
Right. Are we they won't pick up on how bad we just sung it.
Do you have a movie, before I let you go, I'm curious, you know, we talked about True Romance and Friends and those things sort of having the test of time. Do you have a movie that you've done where you don't feel like it got the recognition it deserved and you wish it would stand the test of time, or you wish that people would go back and check it out?
Man, that's a good question. This is smaller movies, a movie called Special that I did, a movie called Ill Town that I did. But in general, you know, I wish that, you know, it sort of lasted the test of time, but it wasn't, I wanted it and I thought it would be a bigger commercial hit, is Beautiful Girls. Yeah. People love that movie.
Demi, right?
Yep. And Natalie Portman and Uma Thurman. And people still talk to me about that movie.
Matt Dillon.
Yep, Matt Dillon, Rosie O'Donnell. It was a great cast. But like, we all thought that was going to be more of a success when it came out. That being said, it's still a movie that people will come up to me and talk to me about a lot of times.
Yeah, people go back and check out that movie
Yep.
a lot. Michael, it's always good to see you, man.
Thanks
for
having
coming by. Atypical is on Netflix right now, and people can check out Michael on Twitter all the time, on his Instagram, right?
Yep, at Michael Rapaport.
And
I'm easy to find.
your podcast as well, people can listen to?
The I Am Rapaport Stereo Podcast.
Michael Rapaport, everybody. Let's hear it.